everybody, Bethany here and welcome to my channel. Today I am on the hop sponsored by Homemade Happiness and it is Embossing Friday. The theme for this hop is stars and stripes, and as I was prepping for this I realized I didn't actually have the materials and supplies that I thought I had in my stash. So I am improvising with what I have, and I don't have an actual game plan in mind, but I am just going with it. I have this A2 sized detail embossing folder from Spellbinders. It's a plaid, so this is where my stripes are going to come in. We're going to do patriotic a little different. I'm going to start with just by putting my embossing folder open, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of ink colors. The first color I am grabbing is called Telephone Box from Forte. It's a Color Hive ink, water reactive, and I really love their inks. They are super juicy and fun. If you've seen any of my videos, I probably have used one of their inks recently. So I'm just going to take my blending brush, grab a little bit of it, and I'm going to blend directly onto my embossing folder. I'm not going to add a super huge amount, just enough to get that pop of color. And I'm going to be random and sporadic. And that's really all I need, is just a little bit of color. I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to grab the Vegas strip, also a Color Hive ink, and grab my blending brush over here. And I'm just going to fill in the rest of the colors here, trying to make sure that I'm not creating a purple. There's going to be a little crossover, but making sure that I am getting a true blue. I love this color. It's super fun, punchy, all that. Now that I think I've gotten enough ink on this, I'm going to go ahead and run it through my Cuttlebug. I'm going to take it off of my sandwich and the reveal. Now, you'll see how some of it was a little bit mixed, where it didn't fill in the full square. Guess what? I like that. I like the distressed look. I like that there's an opportunity to play with shapes a little bit more, but you don't lose the patrioticness of this. The one thing I will say, I lost a lot of the blue in here, so what I'm going to do as my on my feet fix is I'm going to just take more of the blue and I'm going to blend more blue back in. I am going to just go towards the middle on some of these and give them a little more blue inside. And it's okay if I go outside the lines because I'm playing with distressing at this point from the plaid. Now, my stars portion of this actually comes from a Stampin' Up! Photopolymer set from Christmas. It was, I think, the first stamp set I ever got from Stampin' Up! And I was in love. The stars, it's a star wreath. So it is small, but the idea is that I'm going to stamp out this star wreath. Taking this scrap piece of white cardstock, I'm going to place the stamp onto my stamping block, and I'm just going to press it into the Vegas strip. You see, I got a lot of ink from that. And then I'm going to press that star wreath out using my Forte smoosher tool, which is also called a impression tool. And then I'm going to lift up, and there we have our stars. Now I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this out off screen. Now that this is fussy cut out, I am going to actually take another Stampin' Up! Set. It says thank you. I don't have a thank you for your service or anything like that, but I feel like if I zhuzh it up with enough patrioticness, it's going to have that feel. So I'm going to grab the thank you out of this set. This one's called Painted Petals, and I'm going to mount that on a stamping block as well. And I want to continue with the red, so I am going to go ahead and grab the telephone box again. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add some clear embossing powder just to zhuzh it up a little bit more. And grabbing my nifty coffee filter and my Wow Clear Gloss Superfine powder. Just going to grab that sentiment, tap off the excess, and then off screen I'm going to heat it up until it turns clear again. Before I assembled, I have noticed that there in this little Christmas kit, there is actually a star, a small tiny star. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add little stars right in this sentiment, just to add a little bit more dimension and extra emphasis on the stars. The rule of odds here, but I'm going to put 5, and it helps that the stars have 5 points, so it makes sense that I only put 5 stars. But then you can really notice that the details on the edges, those are stars too. They're not just splatters or dots, they're actually stars too. So it gives a little extra emphasis to what is already there in the original stamp. Before I wrap up this card, I wanted to add one more little detail. This is a Simon Hurley peel apart rubber background stamp. It's pinstripe. It's not your standard even stripes, but the cool thing about this is you can take apart whichever one you want. You don't have to use any specific one or in any specific order either. So I'm going to take the one that I think has the thicker amount of stripes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another piece of white cardstock and I'm just going to place the pinstripes right across the top here. And I want to use the telephone box as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going just to go ahead and add a little bit of the Vega strip where the white parts are, just to offset this a little bit. I'm just going to distress so that the stripes pop a little bit better. So I'm just distressing with that blue and I'm liking it a lot more than just having it stark white. Originally I was thinking the white because red and white stripes, but this seems to fit better with what I'm aiming for. So switching up my game plan once again. But yeah, now it's not as stark, which is amazing. Okay, so now for the placement of this, I am going to pop it up on foam tape first before I cut it down. So grabbing some of my Dollar Tree foam tape and my junky scissors. You should always have junky scissors when you are working with foam tape or cutting tape or anything like that. I clean them pretty often, but after a while they are harder and harder to close. So I am going to do something a little different. I'm going to place the foam tape first, mostly because I want to make sure I stay on a straight line, and I feel if I am not focusing on where it's sticking, I'm not able to manipulate it where I want it to go. There we go. And now that it's popped up on foam tape, it adds that little extra bit of dimension. So now I am just going to go ahead and cut off the excess, save that little bit for something later. And then, thinking out loud, because I distressed this, I feel this is a little too stark white. So I am going to use the leftovers of the blue and just take a little bit of the starkness off. I'm not filling in, I'm not detracting from the blue that's already there of the stars. I'm just giving it a little blue glow. It is super subtle, but it makes this white of the cardstock a little less stark, and it's so subtle. Even if I showed you close up on the camera, you wouldn't really be able to see because it is just that subtle. But it's a slight hue, and in person it looks great. Now I'm going to use some Barely Art craft glue, and I'm going to glue here first. Then I'm going to add the foam tape to the top part after. Seems to be the easier way in my mind. It may not be the easier way, but this is how my thinking goes. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this to my cardstock. So for one final touch, I'm going to add these Maker Forte Crown Jewel gems. The color of this one is called Clouds. It's a super pretty blue, just for that little extra pop of color. And I'm not going to add too many, just enough to really make this stand out. And I'm going to use my picker poker tool and just grab a couple of these. It's not sticking very well today. Oddly enough, the humidity has gone away. It's hot again, but the humidity in the area has almost completely disappeared. I may just have to let my fingers get sticky and messy. But I'm going to put these in clusters of 3. Here is the final result of this Stars and Stripe inspired embossed card. Thank you for joining Embossing Folder Friday, and don't forget to check out the link below for the next video in the hop. I will also have the link for the Facebook page Handmade Happiness that is sponsoring this hop. I will have any links for products down below as well, and I will have links to my shop as well as my family's channel and their shop as well. Thank you for joining today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all soon. Have a great day. Bye. Leave it be. And you can hear my children coming from their bike ride. Stripes, or more thick stripes. I don't know the proper English for that has thicker stripes. There we go. I think that worked. As part of the Facebook group, as many times as I practice this in the mirror, whatever, I still screw it up.